If your relationship falls apart, just let two 11-year-olds orchestrate an elaborate reunion without your consent. Problem solved, right? Because in The Parent Trap, that's exactly what happens. And somehow, it works. Welcome back to Date Like the Movies, the podcast where we take your favorite films and ask, should you actually date like this? Or should it stay completely in the world of Hollywood? I'm your host, Brent Jensen, and today we are diving into The Parent Trap, the Lindsay Lohan version, because this movie is peak nostalgia, peak chaos, and somehow also a full case study in second chance romance. Thankfully, I'm not doing this one alone. I've got a very special guest with me, joining me all the way from Utah. Kenna is here to help me break down The Parent Trap. Kenna, welcome to Date Like the Movies.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome to have you here talking about, again, The Parent Trap, second chance romances, and two kids, 11-year-olds, pulling off the most successful relationship intervention of all time.
This is honestly one of my favorites. It's been one of my favorites, and I thought of it because my husband, it's like his favorite movie as well. So,
I know you watched it recently just to refresh before
mhm.
today's episode. Did you watch it with your husband this last time?
Yeah, like I turned it on and he heard it downstairs and like ran down and sat with me and watched it. So, yes.
I have to ask then, just kick it off. What about this movie do you both enjoy so much?
I think that the fact that the parents do like end up together at the end and it's happy. I don't know, it's hopeful, and just how much the parents seem to love the kids, even though like I don't know, like she comes home from camp and they like are so excited to see her. They clearly have good relationships with their kids. I know we're going to talk about this later, but they do. It seems like a very believable kind of happy family. I also just like the actors a lot. I think they do a really good job.
Speaking of the kids, we'll definitely get to the kids. A huge part of the Parent Trap of the story. But we both have four kids, and trying to picture my own kids pulling off this type of elaborate scheme is quite the thing what we're talking about today. For those of the audience who somehow have made it this far in life without seeing The Parent Trap, first of all, we need to fix that. But second of all, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. The movie follows two girls, Hallie Parker and Annie James, who meet at summer camp and immediately cannot stand each other until they realize they're actually identical twins who were separated at birth. Each one raised by one parent, Hallie in California with their dad Nick, he's played by Dennis Quaid, and Annie in London with their mom Elizabeth. Naturally, because this is a movie, they decide the logical solution is to switch places and go home as each other without telling their parents. Hallie heads to London, Annie to California, and they each get to know the parent they've never met, while also getting a front row seat to what went wrong in their parents' relationship. And that's when the story kicks in. They discover that Nick is about to marry Meredith Blake. We'll talk about her as well, who is, let's just say, not exactly the stepmom of the year. The twins decide to team up and pull off an elaborate plan to reunite their parents, which leads to camping trips, sabotage, emotional confrontations, and a whole lot of chaos. It's a story about second chances, miscommunication, and whether some relationships are meant to come back around. That's The Parent Trap in a nutshell for those that might not be as familiar with it as Kenna and apparently your husband.
I don't think he had seen it till we were adults too, so he just like loves it.
Interesting.
Anyway, so we bought the DVD fairly recently. I'm like, we got that one, we can watch it. Anyway, it's great.
Are you still
Also,
watching
the
DVDs?
original's good too, but
Oh yeah, it is. We should point that out. It is a remake.
mhm.
The first one came out, I
It's
think,
like
in the
the 60s or
60s.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
She was a pretty well-known actress at the time too, that played the girls. She's
What's
like in
her name?
Pollyanna. I don't know her
Yep.
name, but it's the Lindsay Lohan one's just nostalgic because I just like love the cast, and Lindsay does a really good job acting as two people.
Yeah.
Shout out to her because she was little when she did that, and she did a really good job.
And for some reason, my background has changed. I don't know why, but
I
now
don't
we're
even
looking.
know how to do that stuff.
Well, apparently I don't either. So welcome to my chaos. Speaking of chaos, we'll just go with the flow. Well, let's talk about second chances because I feel like that's one of the main themes of the Parent Trap. Is we have this couple, right? They were married for a short time. Something happened. They separated their twins and totally cut off communication. And
Which
now
is
here they
wild,
are,
by the way.
isn't it? It's
That's a wild
nuts.
choice.
Yeah, like it's just completely no contact,
From
no
like a legal
existence.
standpoint, yeah, separating the two kids is kind of wild, but anyway.
I should have brought a lawyer on here. That would be interesting to hear their perspective.
Yes, yes, it would.
So, but what do you think about Nick and Elizabeth as a second chance couple? Do you feel like that's believable or not so much?
I think if you break it down into like the film aspect, I think they have good chemistry in the film. Well, I don't know if we're gonna get there is a fly. Sorry, hopefully it doesn't show
Oh,
up on camera. Some kind of bug in here. I think that she was more hesitant about the whole thing the whole time than he was. But I do think it's believable and they probably could make it work. I do like it shows they get married at the end, so they clearly at least get married again. Remarried or whatever. But short answer, yes, I think it's pretty believable, minus the kids running the show for a while and all that stuff.
we'll have to talk more about the kids here in a bit. When I think about if it's believable, and you made some excellent points there um, around are they a good example of a second chance couple? For me, it's yes and no. The no aspect being the part we talked about initially, where there was just no communication at any point between those 11 years. And then all of a sudden, it's like, boom, they're there and apparently they still have feelings for each other, but nothing for 11 years, which is just wild to think about. But that's movies. That's Hollywood, you know?
For
They pull
sure.
out this.
I agree. I think that there's a lot more, obviously. In real life, it doesn't work out that way, but for the film, obviously, they have to make it work for a movie. I do think, like I said, he seems to be genuinely like cares about her until he starts going for Meredith because he like you see at the end he kept all this wine and collected all this stuff. He's like more sentimental than she thinks he is, I think. Once she realizes that. In that scene toward the end, she gets emotional when he's showing her his collection and talking. It would seem more like she has cut off and kind of forgot about it completely. And I don't think he did quite so much if you're going to like really break it down. Obviously, it's a movie, but I'm trying to look behind just what we see on camera, and I think it could, but it also could go horribly wrong because I think the main problem is communication with them, why it happened in the first place. So,
Yeah. Do we even hear much in the movie about what happened initially?
I think it was that they were young and they had twins and they weren't prepared and were, I think, oh, that's the other thing. I think that they may have slightly more of a chance in having a successful marriage now that they are older and more mature. It could benefit them now that they've like made their own lives apart from each other and they kind of know how the world works more, etc. That could be something that helps them, but it also could be something that makes it more complicated because they both have their own lives set up in two different places, which we can get to later too. That could make it probably be the hardest part, is that they do have two independent lives. So how do you mesh those together? Kind of a thing.
Now, why did you say communication you felt like was the number one issue for the initial breakup?
I think the vibes I get are that he completely forgets kind of why they even split up, and he addresses that in the movie. He asks her why you left. So she obviously left at some point, and it sounds like it was after a fight. And she seems to remember pretty well why she left. But men and women communicate things differently. And it happens a lot in romantic comedies where the woman says, I'm going to leave, don't follow me. And then they leave expecting the man to follow them. But the guy's just doing what she said, which isn't that what we want as ladies? I thought that's what we wanted. So there's that going on a little bit. So I think that if women, or in this case Elizabeth, would have communicated what she actually wanted him to do, they might not have been in the same misunderstanding they ended up in. Because it does kind of seem at the end of the movie, we're all like, well, why'd they even break up? Because they seem like they like each other. But really, it's surprising how much communication like that can, over time, like, you can end up in totally different places because there were assumptions going on that weren't addressed or whatever. So I think that's based off the teeny little bit we get from like what happened from them.
How many relationships do you feel would be saved or improved with simply better communication?
I so here's another thing. Most of
Okay.
my siblings and my parents are divorced. Actually, both my siblings have been married and divorced, and my parents are divorced. My mom just got remarried. So there's that aspect of it. So I've
Mhm.
seen this a lot, and I don't think every couple should be back together.
Sure.
There's usually reasons people get divorces and things. However, I think a lot of divorce, I think even in like my own parents' marriage, communication didn't happen, and it's like about things, and like in this movie they had twins. That's stressful. They were young, they say. That's a lot to take on. And if they I think a lot of it is having conversations that are difficult and then not being judgmental toward each other when you're having those conversations. And honestly, I think most divorces could be avoided if both people want to stay married and can learn to communicate better, because really it makes a massive difference.
Excellent points. I really like your point around growth on how, and I think that's a huge part is essentially a second chance couple example where it can work if they've learned a lot in those years, if there's right, they've both grown through experience, like you mentioned. I think are the just key ingredients to really make a situation like this work a second or third go around.
For sure. I also think too, if I can say real quick,
Go for it.
it takes a couple who is willing to move on from the people that they were before. In this case, if their marriage is going to work, uh, what's Nicholas and Elizabeth, they would have to move forward realizing that they're different people now. They've lived 10 years doing their careers and they've raised a kid and they've lived in different countries. Like, that's a big deal. So, for something like this to work, for people to get back together after a split up like that, you have to take where you both are at and move on, almost like it's a new life. Like, it's a different you, it's a different them, and not expect things that are in the past to be the same or hold things against the other person. It has to be like, we're going to try this again and we're going to move forward from the past. And so, if that were the case, I do think that they could probably have a happy marriage. It just kind of all depends on the couple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fortunately,
Yep.
unfortunately.
So here's a question for you, and this is I think it could be a big topic. Uh, Speaking of couples getting together and the reasons they break up or stay together or get back together, how do you feel about couples staying together or getting back together just for the sake of the kids? Because the kids initiate everything, and so it's like, do they really
Hmm.
want to? Is it really best for them to be together, or are they doing it just for the twins' sake? And that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's always a bad idea. I think it's bad to stay in a marriage for the kids. I think it's bad to make any decision because of the kids, because the kid always, and this is from like my schooling and my personal experience, the kids know what's going on, whether they can put a label to it or not. And if there's a dysfunctional home, the kids are going to feel that and they're not going to know what it is. And usually they're going to think it's their own fault
Hmm.
without being able to put labels on things. Just like in therapy, that's a huge common finding, is that your kids knew something was off way longer before you did. So, like, or not before you did, but before you thought they did, kind of a thing. It is kind of interesting because the kids are orchestrating all this, and that's kind of how it would be in real life. The kids notice something's wrong, and whether it's healthy or not, yes, they want their parents back together. It is interesting that the kids are the ones initiating it because they want a mom and they want a dad, and that's totally normal for a kid to want that. But if they're in a dysfunctional home, it's not healthy for anyone involved, really, in the long term, even though it sounds like it would be. But yeah, that is a good point because I don't know. The movie doesn't really give us a good idea of why specifically they end up back together. I hope it's because they realize they actually do care about each other still, because that would be the healthiest.
Yeah.
That would be the healthiest reason, probably. But that's a good point.
In the movie example too, we should mention they have no knowledge of the other parent. So this is a situation where they broke up and left when they were like infants. I think to your point, they just want to be part of a family. One's never had the mother, one's never had the father,
Mm-hmm.
and they have no knowledge of it or what happened because they were just at such a young age when it happened. So,
For
and I
sure.
completely agree with you. And I feel like the older I get, the more I believe that's true. What you say about staying with 4 kids in mind, not a healthy decision.
It
Um,
sounds kind of ruthless, but the kids are going to have to work through stuff either way. And if their mom and dad are in a good place mentally and all the other ways, it's going to be better for the kids to work through it that way than having these confusing, like your parents fighting, you don't know why, all these other things. It's interesting how we try to complicate our lives to make it better in a way. It's like, no, that's not the answer. But yeah, I think that this is one of the points of real life being different than Hollywood, for sure.
yeah. Speaking of Hollywood and communication, uh, couldn't this entire story have possibly been avoided if they had better communication? Like we might not even had this movie, right?
Yes.
If
Yeah,
they had.
exactly. Yes.
Very interesting. Why do you think that is around so often couples avoiding difficult conversations?
I think a lot of it has to do with like what you were raised like being married and coming from two different families. I've noticed a lot more of like what kind of, what do you call it, habits, or if you will, that I have dealing with like conflict or dealing with other things that he wasn't necessarily raised the same way. And coming together, you can pick up on that stuff a little bit easier. But I think a lot of it has to do with what was acceptable in your home, though, because if it wasn't acceptable to bring up hard conversations, like if your parents just shut it down and were like, everything's fine, then as an adult, you're going to feel anxious bringing those things up to a person, or you're going to feel like you're going to be judged or whatever. And if you can take care of that early on, it's amazing how less stressful life can be when you know that you have someone you can talk to, even if it isn't fun to talk about and you're in a safe place with that person.
It's so interesting to me how decisions that we make and just simply the ways we conduct our lives and have conversations, I think can essentially impact like generations of,
Oh, yeah.
our family and just people we interact with. It's just, I think sometimes we don't realize the implications
Hmm.
of, the way we live, our mannerisms, or how we communicate, all of that.
Yeah,
So,
which is stressful now as a parent because I'm like, "Ah, I can't do any of that." Obviously, we're going to make mistakes, but it's kind of a generational thing where you take what you know and you do the best you can with it moving forward.
all right, going back to the Parent Trap now,
Yeah.
Nick and Elizabeth, put yourself like in their shoes or in their mind.
Hmm.
What's the biggest thing that they should have said to each other, but they never did? Speaking of
I
communication,
don't know if this is what you're going for, but I think just,
whatever you say is what I was.
okay, I think they both need to tell each other what they need from the other person, probably, instead of assuming anything. It sounds silly, and I think women a lot of times feel like it's so unromantic for you to have to tell a guy what you want from them. But none of us read minds, right? We need to be able to know what sometimes it's not easy to know someone's love language based off observing them. Sometimes you need to talk about things. And I think society and sometimes movies have made it like uncool to do that. But it's actually a huge benefit when you both know what each other needs from the other person and you just are straightforward about it.
I love that answer. And there is no right or wrong answers on the
Yeah,
podcast. This is just your opinion. Your opinion is the right answer. Whatever your opinion is,
great.
that's the correct answer. So you cannot be wrong. um, but I'll share with you, though, this is something that I've thought about before, which I feel like would be a great thing a couple could implement in their relationship, um, in their long-term relationship, is just once a week, maybe Sunday night, whenever, sit down, just the two of you, and you only ask each other one question. What do you need from me this week? That's it. And
I love
you
that.
just have an honest conversation where you can be vulnerable with each other and just simply ask that question, and then you just recommit to, hey, you know what, I'll do my best to be that for you this week. But that's one thing
Yeah,
I think, you know what, that's an actionable thing a couple could do to, I think, get to the point of what you're talking about.
I agree.
Let me ask you a question here around timing versus communication. Do you feel it's been kind of second chances? Like, how big of an impact or role does timing play in terms of a couple potentially getting back together?
There are moments in my life where if the timing was different, I would not have like ended up living where I live right now. I wouldn't have ended up meeting the person that I got married to. Like, I think that's a huge part of it. And also timing in a different sense, whether the person is ready to like move into or out of relationships also plays a huge role. I think in the movie, there's a reason they had all this happening right when he was engaged to somebody and they have a time limit to get this to happen because there was like the stakes were high. But in reality, I do think timing is really important.
Do you believe in coincidence or fate or a combination of the both?
Um, I think I would say I don't really lean toward coincidence. I am a religious person. I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of, if you call it fate, is God's hand in your life a lot of times, or fate, or whatever you want to call it. I think very little is up to coincidence because I also think a lot of what happens in our life is somewhat within our own control based off decisions we're making that lead us to that point, or if we decide to do something. I don't love being passive about things or the idea that things just happen to us. We allow things or we cause things to happen. So,
I'm a strong believer that one of the most important decisions a person can make in their life is to make the decision that whatever happens to them is their responsibility.
yes, I
Just
agree.
full on accountability, because so often it's so quick to blame others, make excuses. Everything is someone else's fault. But you know what? If we just sit back and we took responsibility for what happens to us, it would just do wonders for a person's life. So,
For sure. Even if what happened to you was not your fault, I think that's the difference between a miserable person and like a confident, happy person, really, in a lot of ways.
yeah. Let's do one of my favorite things on the podcast. This is a segment I call Date That Movie. We take inspiration from the movie and turn it into real life date ideas so we can give our audience members ideas for creative dates. Kenna, do you have any ideas?
There is something to be said for like revisiting when you met, how you met, things you did when you were dating the spouse you have now, to married people. I guess this is from that perspective. But like it is good to reflect on how far you've come, how things are different. And so kind of going back to the girls where they like planned their parents like what was it, their wedding? Or was it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was their wedding. Going back to that, I think is healthy and fun. And there's a million different ways because everyone met their spouse different, there's personal, and it is very personal and like nostalgic, not nostalgic. What's the word I'm looking for?
The word I'm thinking of is like reminisce. You're
Reminiscent.
reminiscing
Yeah, sure.
around how you got together.
I think if someone's trying to think of a date idea, that's a great place to start, is to think about how you met or your favorite dates you went on or like where you were engaged or something like that. And I think that's really fun.
I love that idea. Yeah, think about some date or some place or something that was meaningful to you, and why not do it again? And you mentioned the movie in there. To the girl's point, that was their thinking initially was, how are we going to get our parents together? Let's make them remember what their beginning was like.
Well, and also to their point, that's almost all they had to go off of because they split up so early on. So it's like, let's just hone in on when they were happy together, for sure. You don't have to do that to when your marriage is to the point of failing, but it's healthy to keep that in your mind because there's ups and downs in marriage, and sometimes with all the hustle and the craziness of life, you kind of forget how things used to be, or you know, 10 years ago what was going on in your life or how you felt when you were dating your spouse, and it's fun to revisit that.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kenna, I've got a couple of data ideas I want to throw at you.
Okay,
You can
great.
give me the thumbs up, or you can say they're terrible.
Okay.
Whatever, whatever you want. The adult summer camp day idea, because I mean, the prank scenes are awesome. Like the prank
I love
scenes, I
it.
mean, that's one of the things that I feel like is the most memorable parts about the whole movie. And
Yes.
there's the side where the girls prank each other at the beginning,
Yes. And then there's the
right? When
Meredith
they
Blake
and then there's the Meredith
pranking,
Blake part, which is the camping, right? The camping scenes.
which
So I like the
also
idea.
I love that they have the same music playing in both parts of the movie, like the background music. It's like the same prank music from when they're at camp and when they're camping with Meredith, and it's hilarious.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't
Yeah,
know
it's
that.
funny. It's like a
Oh my
theme. It's
goodness.
so funny.
I'm gonna have to watch that back now. I'll tell you what. I will watch just the prank scenes. I'll watch the beginning, fast forward, and then watch the end.
Yeah, it's great.
So the idea, right? An adult summer camp day idea, meaning a couple could uh, go camping, go kayaking, go hiking.
You can
Maybe they
even
want to.
go to like a national park where you live and do like
Oh, I
tours or
like that.
something. Like you can do a lot of things
Yeah,
if you're an outdoor person. Maybe you're like Meredith Blake
yeah,
and you're not.
yeah. And the second idea I had, I'll share one more, is inspired by the idea of the twins being split up
Hmm.
at birth, is the split life date night. Simple idea, meaning one person plans the first part of the date and the second person plans the second part.
Super fun.
One person
That's
could
a
pick the
thumbs up. I
activity.
like that one.
You like that? One picks the
Yeah.
activity, the other picks the restaurant, however you want to do it. You could even do it with the other person doesn't even know. You could say, I tell you what, you pick your aspect, I'll pick my side. We'll go together, not knowing what the other person's plan. I like surprises sometimes. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's
that's
my other
super
idea.
fun. I'm trying to think of something that's like kind of plays on the idea that they pretend to be each other because that's kind of fun. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head. What you said kind of touches on that, but like if you had to something to the point of picking their favorite dinner for them, how well you know them, or something like
Oh,
that, where you're trying to kind of put yourself in their shoes a little bit. This is just spitballing, but
yeah, I like that. I
it's not
think
a fully
we need
developed idea.
we need another episode to flesh out these ideas.
Yes, like you're very creative with that stuff. I love it.
And we've done similar ideas with kid dates before,
Hmm.
where we've gone to like, an inexpensive date. We've gone to the dollar store, and one thing I like to do is you do kind of a simple idea and you just do one twist to make it a little bit unique.
Hmm.
And so we've gone to the dollar store for Daddy Dollar Day as an example, and we will pick things for the other person. So instead of buying our own snacks, we say, hey, you know what? I'll buy yours, you buy mine. We're trying to keep it a surprise until we get home,
Oh, fun.
and it's just like a nice, just a
See if
simple
we got it
twist.
right.
Yeah, see
Yeah.
how well you know each other exactly.
Hmm.
Oh, and
That's
you can do that, you
awesome.
know. Couple couples could do that. You can do that with anybody. So
Yeah, fun.
yeah,
Super fun.
yeah. All right, good stuff. Let's transition now to Meredith Blake. We
Okay.
have to talk about her. She is the woman who Nick is in a relationship with.
Annie, who's British, goes to California to live with her dad, Nicholas,
Yes.
who has started dating this woman while they've been gone at camp. So neither kid was prepared for that. One of my favorite parts when she starts pacing the living room saying, "I'm just a kid, I can't handle this." And then the nanny turns around and is like, "Excuse me?" But yeah, so she's in way over her head, the poor thing, trying to deal with this new relationship. But it's kind of funny because she's not really a villain. I mean, she just started dating him. I guess she could be a villain because she's kind of chasing after his money. What we're led to believe is that she wants to be with him because of his money. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing inherently wrong about dating a person, even for their money, necessarily. So it's more her personality we don't like.
Do you feel like she's unfairly villainized as a villain?
Um, I don't think in real life most people are that like calculating to send the guy's kids off because she doesn't like them, and the conversation where she's like, "Back off, I'm gonna marry your dad," kind of a thing. I don't think that's as much common. Of course, it could be, I guess, but it's not probably the majority of people coming into someone's life. So maybe a little bit in that way she's villainized, but maybe she's like the real life villain where this could happen in real life, but I don't think it does as often, but she definitely comes off as like not the person we're rooting for, you know?
Yeah. That's a good point. I say partially. I say partially she's unfairly villainized, only from the
Yeah,
standpoint of before we ever meet her in the movie, we already are not rooting for her
exactly.
because that's the part where she's unfair. Like we haven't even met her yet as an
Yeah,
audience, and we just know
we have a bias.
we are totally biased 100%, and we want these parents together
Yes.
uh, because that's what these twins want, and we love the twins, so we
Mm-hmm.
want what they want.
And honestly, we like we're seeing the movie from both parents' perspective. Like, so you're automatically kind of hoping they get together, just like the way it's set
Yeah.
up. Anyway, yes, I agree. But she is pretty nasty.
Does she?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you. Okay, she's nasty. She's with him for the money.
Uh-huh.
Looking through all of this nastiness from Meredith, do you see any green flags in her? Can we find the green flags?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. There's probably more red flags than green ones just because she just kind of sweet swings in acting like she owns the place, which isn't great. She brings a bell for
Oh,
the
yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
and you can tell the what's Chessie, her name. She's one of my favorite
Yeah.
characters, by the way. I love Chessie.
Hmm.
She's great comedic relief, and she's just awesome. But you can see on her face, she's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm not your maid. I take care of the kid here." But the way she is in that way is a red flag to me because usually when you're trying to blend families, you're respectful of the children involved, the other parties involved, and that shows how you feel, how you respect the person that you're in a relationship with. This person has other family outside of myself, and that's something to consider. And she just acts like no one matters. We're gonna just ship everyone else off that I don't like, and that kind of thing. So that's where I see red flags. Obviously, he likes her for some reason, so there must be things about her that are good and when they are spending time together by themselves. I don't know.
Guys often fall for the physical attraction. It is
Yeah.
easy to overlook some red flags sometimes. Think of it, if there's any green flag I can find in here, and I'm digging deep. I'm trying my best to find some green flags. She is confident,
Mhm.
not always again displayed great, but she is confident and she knows
Mhm.
what she wants. If
Yeah.
she could direct the energy from knowing what she wants in other ways, I think it could
Yes.
be very positive.
For sure. And she clearly like she's probably good at her job. You know, there's
Yeah.
probably good things about her. And sometimes being good at your job means that you know how to read people and how to get what you want, kind of a thing. but it can be it can be channeled in probably healthier ways than she does it. At least as depicted in the movie. I do think she's just the character that is meant to be the red flag character. There's another movie tidbit where, okay, the couple, the parents of Meredith Blake in the movie, when they meet
Mm-hmm.
him at the hotel.
Yep.
So the woman that plays Meredith Blake's mom, Vicky, was the Meredith Blake character whose name is Vicky in the film in the original. So she played the woman who is engaged to the dad in the first film, and then they recast her as the mom in this one, which I thought was also really funny. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
No, it's a great. I watched the additional features on the DVD, and they talked about that. I did know that before, but I think it's really funny. So when she's saying, "You may call me Aunt Vicky," they're referencing the original film there, which is fun.
That's awesome. I did not know that. I should have a new segment called "Did You Know?" and we're gonna have some interesting facts about the
Yes.
movie. Now, speaking of, so Chessie is the maid. And at the end of the movie, she gets together with the butler. Like they actually get together. It's just kind of like a totally side storyline, but a fun thing that happened along the way. She sees right through Meredith. She can totally see right through her what she's after, the money, all of that. Um, have you ever been in a situation like that where I'm just curious, where you've seen one of your friends or somebody else in a relationship and you just felt like they were not right for each other, but you didn't know what to say or how to kind of handle that? Have you ever experienced that?
I definitely have. My cousin and my sister dated a lot of guys in high school, and I didn't really date anyone super seriously. I dated a lot of people. I just didn't have like a boyfriend steady or anything like that. And some of my close friends and family members had boyfriends, and so I gotta like see how that went down from the outside. I gotta see how the breakups panned out and things without having to go through it myself, I guess. And I really like the line in the movie where she's like, "It's none of my business how your dad makes a fool of himself," or whatever she says. Where sometimes, as long as the person isn't like hurting themselves or others, you just kind of have to let other people figure it out for themselves. I really do think that, like, if you think you're in love with somebody and someone tells you they're not right for you, you're just gonna, like, double down even harder and be like, "No, you don't understand. Like, you don't see what I see," all that kind of stuff. So most of the time in that case, you do just have to let it play out, I think. If there's, like, a concern that's really serious, I think you should intervene probably. But in most cases, you just got to, like, recognize and just be a supportive person to them, I think. My favorite scenes when she's like, what she sees in a guy with his shirt tail hanging out and a cereal bowl full of chili, I don't understand. It's pretty
She
great.
does, yeah, she does have some excellent lines and is really a great character.
Because, yeah,
And
he is. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and like I said, she gets together with the butler at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
He's
and the
great too. I
butler's
love him
super
too.
funny. Yeah, I
He's
like
good.
him. I do like when he breaks down crying when they find out that it's Hallie and not Annie. He's
Yeah.
all emotional. And the grandfather, I like him too. He's the cutest old man.
So many good characters. Well, let's talk about the masterminds of the entire
Okay.
situation, the twins, Annie and Hallie, played by Lindsay Lohan. Do you see them as geniuses or just initiating chaos all around them?
I think it's funny because their parents seem like, obviously they're kids and they have their moments, but their parents seem to really have good relationships with each kid before they know that they've swapped, you know what I mean? And they seem like such good kids, and then they can pull the nastiest pranks on people. And it's kind of like there's this whole side to them where it's like, that was calculated. Like, that was impressive, kind of, but also you came up with that idea. And I think that they're pretty, I don't know, for a kid that age, I think that that's pretty impressive, honestly. Especially if you can, I mean, they didn't really convince the grandpa and like Chessie and stuff, but they convinced their own parents for a while that they were the sister they were pretending to be, which personally I think is the most genius part of it because I would struggle really bad with that. I'd be like way too nervous, probably. What do you think?
Yeah, I could not have done any part of that. I did know some identical twins when I was younger,
Mhm.
and there were these twin girls. Um, I struggled to tell them apart.
Mhm.
The parents always could though, but yeah, there were some identical twins where I was like, "Which one are you?" Like I
For
struggled.
sure. Well, I
They kind
funny
of
you say
dressed
that
similar.
because I had two sets of twins that were pretty close friends of mine in high school. And one set, so one was fraternal, a boy and a girl, but the other were
Okay.
identical. And sometimes from a distance, or like even when we get back together for like parties or something, now as we're adults, we're still in contact. Sometimes when they're together and I'm like not close enough, I can't tell who they are. So like when you live with the person or you see them all the time, you can usually tell twins apart. And I do
Yeah.
think most twins do that at some point in their life to some degree. My friends like switch places once, I guarantee, at school or something.
Oh yeah. Then do you see what these girls are doing in the movie as manipulation? Or do you see it as sweet and innocent? Like which
I
side of the fence
mean,
are you on?
there's I would say I don't know. This is just my own personal take. Any kind of manipulation is manipulation. It can be like good or bad. It can be like, I guess, innocent or not innocent. I don't know what word to use exactly, but they definitely were manipulative. I don't think it was necessarily in a bad way most of the time. Uh, except for when they were actually super bent on, when they hate each other at camp and when they really don't like Meredith Blake. I think that's pretty purposely manipulative in a bad way. Manipulative. Um, they're trying to break them up, so I would say that's manipulative. However, I think you can call it manipulative, but I do think the rest of the time they obviously have it's planned out, but most of it's harmless, I think, or even meant to be helpful almost in some cases.
That makes sense. My take on it is definitely manipulation. Um, however, we forgive it as the audience because we like the outcome.
Mhm.
So we're okay with it. Like it's fine because we want the parents to get together. So we kind of gloss over the
Yeah. Like
manipulation aspect.
they're definitely not angel children. I will put it
Right.
that way. But I say that, but I also don't dislike them. I think they're
Yeah.
probably good kids and I like them. I'm rooting for them the whole time. But there's also movies where you're rooting for like the thieves the whole time. So, you know?
I always think those movies are funny because sometimes it's like, which thieves are the worst thieves? Your
Mhm.
thieves, their thieves. Which ones am I rooting for? So,
It's funny. I was showing my daughter Tangled for the first time, or we watched it for the first time, and it was
hey,
hard
I
for
did
me
that
to
episode.
explain. Yeah, it was hard
eh,
for me to explain that Flynn Rider is like a good guy, but he's also a thief, and that's not good. Like, it's hard for a little kid to understand, like, well, he's the good guy, right? Or even that Mother Gothel is the bad guy because she acts nice on the surface to a kid. She seems like nice, but anyway, that's a side note. But
Yeah.
yes, sometimes we forgive it.
Did you have a chance to watch my episode on Tangled?
I don't think so. I think I might have started it. Now I need to go watch the whole thing. I
You should
will.
go watch that one because we talk about Mother Gothel. Uh, we
It's a
talk
good
about Flynn
one. That's
Rider.
a good one.
It's fantastic one. Yeah, you should give
That
that one a
is
listen.
okay.
So,
Tangled is one of my favorite animated movies. Like, it's golden. No pun intended. It's great.
I like that pun. You should say pun intended for that one.
Pun intended.
Yes.
It's just a cute movie, and I like it a lot. So yes, I will
Yeah.
definitely watch that one. But yeah,
And Rapunzel in that movie, this is kind of a tangent now. We're switching movies slightly.
yes.
Rapunzel is one of my favorite Disney princesses.
Mhm.
Just like in animated movies, is
Mhm.
she's near the top for me. So it's
For sure.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about the twin strategy here. What's just the most unrealistic thing about pulling off this whole switch, getting parents back
I
together? Like,
thought
what's
the most unrealistic thing. I was thinking about this as I was watching it. Basically, when they do the switch back, I don't see how they could do that without their parents knowing something. Because they're a
Mm.
kid, they're traveling internationally. Yes, the grandparent and the other adults are helping them, but they have plane tickets they have to, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. And as a parent, they seem to be asking very, like, not enough questions. Where are we going and who did you talk to? And I think I need to verify this. And, like, where are we meeting up kind of a thing at what hotel? Because I'm sorry, I would not trust an 11-year-old kid to tell me, we're meeting here at this time. That's all you need to know, Mom. Anyway, what was your take on that?
I never thought of the aspect around the travel.
Yeah.
Totally right. Like you can't. That's such a good point on an unrealistic piece of um, this whole thing. I
Hmm.
have an 11-year-old right now. I have an 11-year-old daughter. If she was doing what these girls are doing and telling me what we're doing, like I wouldn't believe her for a second. Like there's just no way I
Yeah.
would trust her with these types of
Well, and
details and such.
she even asks, I think it's Hallie pretending to be Annie. She's like, "Did you talk to your dad and did he seem excited or like terrified or whatever, you know?" And she's like, "Oh, he was excited." But it's like you would 100% be at least like you would be talking to it doesn't matter if you haven't spoken. You would be talking to them on the phone before you got there. I'm almost certain. Because it's an 11-year-old kid. Anyway, I actually did think of that while I was watching it as the most like unrealistic thing. But I also think that however long their camp was a really long time to like send your kid on a plane and go to a camp for however many months it was.
Yeah, it seemed like it was the whole summer. You
Yeah,
know,
that's a long camp, man.
yeah,
I
and
don't think I've
overseas. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
overseas for
mean.
one of
Like
them.
the
Yeah,
original film, the camp, they're both from the US. So that makes more sense to me than you like, choosing to send your kid to a camp in what state is it even in? New York or something?
I don't even remember.
Sending your kid to a camp by themselves from London is a little wild too. I mean, I think they send the butler to drop her off, but then she flies home alone. So anyway, that's a little bit
Yeah,
trusting.
yep, yep. All right, Kelly, time to put you on the hot seat.
Okay.
This is the rapid fire speed dating round. Just quick answers, no overthinking, just your
Okay.
instincts. Got a couple questions for you. Favorite scene in the movie?
I think I mean, there's multiple of this instance, but my favorite scenes are when they get found out that they're not Hallie or Annie. When the dad finds out and when the mom finds out. Because I think they're genuinely like touching scenes. Those are probably my favorite scenes. I like a lot of scenes though, but
When Elizabeth sees Nick, or when he sees her, she's going there thinking he knows.
yes.
He has no clue, and his
Hmm.
look on his face, I think he's like with Meredith, I believe, at the time, and his look on that face
I
was
think the
pretty
first time
priceless. So
he sees her, she's like trying to make out with him in the elevator, and he's like, he like sees her and then like keeps looking at the elevator, and it's the best thing ever.
I have to tell you, and this was not a scene I was going to mention, but kind of speaking to that scene around right there at the hotel, he trips and falls into the pool
Uh
in
huh.
his suit, like nice clothes, gets out, and he doesn't even seem upset.
I
He's
know.
like totally fine with it. I always thought that was crazy.
He continues to go and then talk to her. If that was real life, I feel like you'd fall in and then you'd book it to go get changed or something and pretend like you didn't see them. They hadn't made eye contact at that point, but like, oh man, it's pretty funny. Sorry, my
Yeah,
hair.
that scene was wild. I love the prank scenes, the ones with Meredith, wild stuff. But the scene with the lizard goes in her mouth, I'm like,
That's like too much. That was
that
really the
was
only
crazy.
thing where it's like, first of all, disgusting, but also a
Yes.
lizard would never do that. And it's clearly computer animated. And like so that was a little over the top for me as well. But also it's a memorable scene, that's for sure.
Hmm. What about favorite movie quote?
There's so many like lines that are funnier in context. I do like a lot of lines that Chessie has are hilarious to me. When when the mom is drunk and she's like says I'll meet you upstairs and she has like a lisp And then she's like, let's just do what your mom said and meet her upstairs. And she's just like this super fun comedic like character. And I actually just like most of the like kind of cheesy camp dialogue with the girls because I just think it's so funny. Like when they're playing poker and all that stuff. There's too many for me to pick a single one. But anyway, what stood out to you?
Yeah. The camp lines are great. And if we went back to the date that movie segment, some great ideas from those camp scenes too. They go
Oh,
fencing.
yeah.
Fencing is in there. Poker's in there. Yeah, a lot of good stuff is in there in those scenes. And yeah,
Yeah,
the
totally.
quotes, the dialogue is awesome. Love the back and forth. One quote that I've always liked and think is funny is when Nick is trying to tell, I believe it's Annie, about making
Yes.
Meredith part of the family, and
Oh,
she's like, "You want to
adopt
adopt her?
Meredith.
Adopt her? Yeah."
You
I
want
think
to
that's
adopt
hilarious.
Meredith? And his reaction to that is hilarious too. Because on his face, he's just like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Man, yeah, that's a good one.
And she totally goes out of her way to make it seem like she could be my older sister, like with
Oh,
the age
she's like
gap, you know?
dragging it out as long as she can, which is like painful to watch. But yes,
Yeah.
I like too that you gave me a fright and all the little things that stick out that she's not who she is. Mm-hmm.
Such a quotable movie.
There is another film tidbit where she's in the elevator in the scene where they're at the hotel and the parents see each other, where she's going upstairs, one of them. I don't know which twin, but she pushes the button to the elevator and then she starts singing Let's Get Together from the original film where the twins sing that song. She like is humming it to herself, and that was a callback to the first one too.
Okay, I missed that too. I'll have to
Go
watch it again.
back and watch all these because they're in there.
I'll have to pick up
She's
on all these
singing
details.
Let's Get Together. Yeah. Anyway. And they actually put it at the end of the credits too because we're weird about credits at our house. We like play the whole thing. Anyway, so they definitely put their quotes from, or like, I don't know if you'd call them quotes, but they did some callbacks to the original that are fun to try to notice.
As we were talking, I fact checked because I want to make sure we had the actress right. Haley Mills is the actress who played the original
in the
1960
first
version.
One. Yeah.
Yep. Haley Mills. All right. Pranks. What was the most unrealistic prank in the movie?
My husband pointed this one out.
Okay.
They stay up late playing poker or something, and then she makes some skinny dip. So then the next morning they're all tired, and the girls put their beds on the roof.
Oh, yes.
And my husband was like, there's no way those little girls could do that without getting caught by themselves on the roof of their cabin. So that's probably the biggest one. The other ones are elaborate, but like could still probably be done if you wanted to. Although the fencing scene is also a little choreographed, but
that was my exact answer, was the furniture on the roof.
Yes.
I have no words for how that could possibly have happened.
I don't even know how the crew did that, let alone like the kids in the movie doing it.
What about the other side of it? What's one of the pranks that you say, you know what, that one's realistic. That one could definitely happen.
I've been to girls' camps where this was attempted, putting Meredith on her mattress on the lake.
You've seen that? Like, you've seen it happen?
I've been on a blow-up mattress on the lake before, and it does float. It was on purpose, and it was during the daytime.
Okay.
But I do think that that's actually possible, and I think it's hilarious that they had to film that and like the adults involved. But yeah, I think that one is actually a possibility.
That's so interesting to me because I always viewed that as not possible because I just thought I'm not a deep sleeper. So I'm like, you'd have to be just such a deep sleeper for somebody to pull you out and put you in the lake.
You have to remember that she took a large sleeping pill.
Oh, okay.
Before she goes on there.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think they even say that. I hope that large sleeping pill worked or something, and they push her out on the lake.
And then she wakes up and there's like a bird like pecking her or something like that.
Okay. You see things like that in movies and you're like, oh, that wouldn't freak me out that bad. That would freak me out so bad. Waking up to that, an animal on your chest. It doesn't matter what kind of animal it is. If there's something on my chest and I'm like half asleep, I would probably not stay afloat as long as she did. Honestly.
For you, would you prefer a camping date or a fancy dinner date?
I think I would prefer a camping date because I think it's more of like a bonding experience and kind of more fun. Like, I mean, I won't turn down a nice dinner date, but like, I think I would prefer to do the camping one just because I like that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. Would you trust two kids to fix your relationship for you?
No, I don't think I would, unfortunately. Again, I don't have an 11-year-old kid, but yeah, in a real life, I think there's more stuff going on to address than an 11-year-old kid could fix for you. So, I think that's my final answer.
Yeah, yeah, good answer. I also think there are certain things that kids are better at in terms of just relationships in general. I'll give you an example of that.
Mhm.
From what I've seen, forgive much quicker. They forgive
Mhm.
much quicker. One of my kids might be arguing or upset with one of their friends or a neighbor kid or whatever one moment. 1 hour later, they're like best friends again. Whereas as
Mhm.
adults, we tend to hold on to grudges a whole lot longer than kids often do. Again, that's just one example of, you know what? Sometimes
Yeah,
I think
for
there's a
sure.
lot we can learn from kids actually about just relationships in
For sure.
general.
And
All
in
right.
the movie
Yeah.
too, like they find out they're sisters and they immediately like love each other and they don't hate each other anymore. And I think that's actually realistic. Suddenly they have this really deep connection and they just put all that stuff aside and are like, okay, you're my friend now. And I think that's really cool too.
All right, Kenna, we're going to wrap things up with a final question for you.
Okay.
The final question is if someone listened to this and thought, you know what, I want a love story like The Parent Trap, what would you tell them to take from this movie? And what would you tell them to, you know what, leave that one in the movie? What would you say? Your
I
final
would
lesson.
say to take from the movie that things can be worked out if you want to work them out. And there is hope if that's something that you want. Whether you're like having arguments or you're like, like in a place where you're going to therapy or something like that. A lot of people even do therapy when they're not even fighting or having a bad relationship. It's just like a healthy way to see where you're at and just acknowledge things before they get out of hand, like kind of happened in this movie. So I think that there is hope for relationships that struggle. I think that's the happy thing to take from this. The other thing to take is not to do, maybe, is to, like I mentioned earlier, from a female perspective, let's not expect men to do things that we don't want them to do, or be honest when we say something to men, ask them of something. Because again, I think when I hear what happened with the parents, it seems like it was, I'm leaving and I don't want you to follow me. And she leaves. And then he doesn't follow her. And I think that's him being respectful of her. But then she sees that as he doesn't love me. That's a major miscommunication and something that is easily fixable in real life. And I think happens a lot in real life too, where we don't say what we mean and mean what we say. And I think that alone could fix a lot of issues. So, yeah.
Trying to be mind readers and expecting others to be mind readers typically doesn't work out too well
Yeah.
for either person involved. Oh,
Playing mind games is not
yeah,
cute like it
yeah.
is in movies, okay?
So well said. Well, Kenneth, thank you so much for joining me, coming
Mhm.
on to the podcast, breaking down the Parent Trap. So much fun, and I learned a ton about the movie myself. So I have to go back and rewatch this one. Thanks to everyone for listening to Date Like the Movies. If you enjoyed this episode with myself and Kenna, make sure to follow and share it with someone who definitely has an ex they've thought about texting because you know what? This second chance of romance might be just a movie to inspire them. Who knows? But thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, my friends, keep dating. Thanks so much.